Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I'm going to be introducing you to my original characters. So I've been wanting to do an OC video forever, but I've just been procrastinating and putting it off and doing other videos instead. But finally I'm going to have the OC video out soon. And if you guys don't know what OC means, it means original character. So if I say OC a lot, that's what it means. So the OC I'm outlining right now is Sparrow. His last name is Knight. He's Sparrow Knight. He's actually one of my favorite characters. I've not had him that long though. He's more of an introvert, I'd say, and he has black hair, and he's a Wingarian. That is a species I created. And I will be explaining a little bit more of the Wingarian species a little bit later, but for now, I'll tell you about the other two OCs that are with him. Lily Ray is actually Sparrow's best friend. And then to the far left, that you probably can't see right now because of my hand, Ian Whitlock. You may have seen Sparrow and Ian for the first time just a little bit ago in an animation that I did. You with the dark hair, you with the watercolor eyes. I think I did an animation with them in it. So they are all three really good best friends, and they have lived in the Wingarian village all of their life. Well, except Ian. Ian came into the Wingarian village when he was about 9, but Sparrow and Lily have lived there all their lives. And the Wingarian species, I don't really have a name for their ears yet, but they sort of have an echolocation like a bat. When they're in the air flying around, they can sort of communicate with each other through their ears. They can send little signals back and forth and talk to each other. I don't really have a proper name or anything for it yet, because I'm still working on it, but that's sort of the concept. Wingarians are thought to be extinct mythical creatures by the humans, but they are in the same world. Because I know some people have separate OC worlds for all their different groups of OCs, but everybody's in the same world in my OC world, but they just don't know they exist. So you're probably wondering where the rest of the footage is for the other drawing, and I literally have no clue. I remember filming it, and I thought I did, but for some reason it's nowhere on my camera roll to be seen, and when I went to edit it, there was only half the footage of me outlining, and the other half was just vanished. It was so weird. So I don't have the full footage of the outlining of that part, but I do have the full footage of outlining these characters. And let me tell you just a little bit more of the Wingarians, and then we'll get on to these guys that I'm outlining right now. So I would say Sparrow's the dad of the group. He tries to keep everybody safe and out of trouble, and Lily's the adventurous, rambunctious type that flies into mountains. No joke, I actually have a part in my story that I'm writing where Lily and Sparrow are actually flying, and Sparrow keeps warning Lily. He's hey, there's a mountain here, watch out, don't hit the mountain, and then she's just goofing off, laughing and just being her crazy self, and then she smashes into the mountain. And then she's you should have warned me, and then he's I warned you 7 times. So I just thought that was super funny to include. And a little bit of backstory on Sparrow is he never met his parents. He's always just been a little bit of a loner. He just kind of roamed the village and did his own thing, even when he was little. And Lucas, Lily's father, actually took him in, and she kind of raised him in a sense. They didn't always live together. Sometimes Sparrow would go off and do his own thing. But for the most part, Lucas was Sparrow's father figure. And Ian is raised by his grandmother, and actually Ian is not a Wingarian at all. That's a little bit of a spoiler for the story, and a spoiler, but he is not a Wingarian at all. And I actually made a little comic strip of how Ian disguises as a Wingarian, and it was hilarious, and I definitely have to post it sometime on my community tab. When Ian was little, him and his family went camping, and then he wandered off and couldn't find his way back, and he wandered for hours. And then finally, this Wingarian lady, that is his grandmother now, actually found him, and she tried to find his family and tried to bring him back to the humans, but she couldn't find his family anywhere, or nothing, no trace of them anywhere, so she decided to take him to her village. But she knew that they would not accept humans. They hated humans, and humans did not know they even existed. So she dressed him up as a Wingarian and gave him a set of wings that she handcrafted and everything. And then she gave him a set of Wingarian ears to hide his human ears. And now that I'm thinking about it, I think I said he was 9 when he came to the village earlier. He was not 9, he was 5. So I may have said that earlier, but he was not 9, he was 5, because I think I actually did say that. And last but not least is my profile picture, Lily Ray. She was originally supposed to be like my persona, but then she kind of just like developed into her own character over time. I just kept thinking and like, oh, this would be really cool if I added this to her backstory. So she kind of still is my persona, but in a sense she's like nothing like me now. And she's more like her own like original character that I created. But she lives with her father, Lucas, and he's a blacksmith. And she knows nothing of her mother, which will come later in the story. I do not want to spoil that part because I did already spoil a little bit about Ian's backstory, but I will not spoil any of this. You guys will have to wait a little bit longer to find out about that because it's actually really cool. But she actually learns a lot about blacksmithing and knows how to like make her own tools and swords and stuff. In a sense, Lily kind of reminds me of like Robin Hood, but with a twist. So the Wingarian society is in a mesa plateau far from the humans or any humans that would come in contact with them because they don't want anybody to know that they're around or like anywhere. So they're far in the mesa plateau and their village is split into two, like one on top of a mesa plateau mountain and one below. So they can like fly up to it or like stay at the bottom village. And then their council is made up of 5 counselors that like kind of run the village. They're kind of like the leaders of the village and they kind of like control everything. So now on to these characters, but if you have any questions about my Wingarian characters, and I'm not sure if I covered it all, I might go back to that topic because I'm not sure if I like told everything about their personalities and everything about like their world building and everything. So I'll probably go back to that topic, but if you have any questions that I don't answer in this video, you can definitely leave them in the comments and I'll definitely answer your question. So the character on the left is Beatrice Roseshard, and the character in the middle is Sterling Grove, and the character on the right is Farrell Torchwood. We all have to know Farrell. I'm pretty sure like 99% of you guys know Farrell, and if you don't, Farrell is on the right. So in the story I'm writing is called Efflorescence. It's a Latin word for meaning blooming like a flower or blooming, and I have a lot of flowers that I've created in my world, like the rose shard is a flower, the floriflare flower is a flower. There's just like a bunch of different flowers I've created, so I thought that was a very fitting name. And this might be like a cheesy meaning, but I was thinking like all of my characters are blooming into the character that they need to be. Like they're blooming into who they need to be and they're growing throughout the story and like they're blooming. So I thought that was a pretty cool like name to use. And I've actually been asked this question before, that is your character's story original? Where did you come up with it? Did you get the idea or is it somebody else's? And no, I actually came up with this all on my own. And throughout time, I've actually come up with all of this, so it is original and I created it. Now a little bit about my character's personalities. Sterling Grove in the middle, she is more of like the popular girl in school. They go to Floriflare Academy, which is a fire flower, and it blooms, and when it blooms like in fire, and there's like little fire orbs inside of it. So why I chose the Floriflare flower, that's actually a really big tongue twister, for like the school mascot sorta, is because I thought of like the characters in the school blooming into the flower and like burning bright. So I actually thought that was a pretty cool definition. And this will just be part 1 because I still have a ton more OCs. Like Farrell's best friend is Lawrence, and I've not drawn him in a while, so I actually want to draw him again, so I will have to do a second part of this so he can be drawn in a video. And like all of my other OCs that you guys have probably not heard of is like Vlad, Ophelia, Felicity, Kane, all of their parents as well. I have to do like a second part, so stay tuned for that. So Mallory and Rowan Roseshard is Farrell's and Beatrice's parents, and then they have a little sister named Felicity, and they have an older brother that they know nothing about actually, named Kane. And I think I said Rowan. His name is actually Roman, not Rowan. I said that wrong actually. And I don't think I said the ages of my characters. So Sparrow is 17, Ian is 16, and Lily is 16. And then Sterling is 16, Beatrice is 17, and Farrell is almost 18. He's like 17 and a half. He's almost 18, like he's about to turn 18 in the story. And I think I've mentioned this before in like maybe a live stream or something, but secretly there is like an underground organization of villains, and Mallory and Roman are actually like ahead of the villains. they don't know that, like their children don't know that, like Farrell has no clue about that, but actually they're villains and they're one of like the top villains. And Kane is also one of the villains as well, but like Farrell and Beatrice and Felicity know nothing about Kane. They don't even know he exists till like the middle of the story. So also a little sneak peek. I'm just giving like a bunch of little hints to the story now. So because I don't know when I'm gonna like write it fully and like have all the writing done, because it's taken a while and I'm like mainly focusing on like drawing my OCs a lot. And guys, I promise not all of my characters are villains, but Sterling's father is actually a villain. He's like a big businessman, and nobody suspects anything because he's just like this big businessman, but he's actually one of the biggest villains ever, and he knows Mallory and Roman. And Sterling's mother is a model, and I'm not sure about like Farrell's parents yet. I don't really know their jobs. I'd say Mallory's like a stay-at-home mom, and then Roman goes out and does like a job. And I don't know if you can tell, but at the tips of Beatrice's hair, she actually has like maroon tips because she wanted to get them because Farrell's hair is more of like a maroon brownish color, and she really loves like the color of his hair. Even though Farrell's older than Beatrice, people at their school call them twins because they're always with each other. They're like never separate, they're always together, and they like are inseparable. I don't know how I almost forgot to talk about like their magic and like all their powers and their power system and everything, but they're split into two categories: people with powers and powerless. So they are like separate and they can't go to the same school. Like only people with powers can go to Flora Academy, and if you don't have a power, you cannot. And why people without powers can't go to Flora Academy is because Flora Academy, I'm just gonna keep saying that tongue twister, is for like training and harnessing your powers. So if you don't have a power, then there's really no reason to go to the school. So that's why they don't allow anybody without powers. And I'm not sure if I mentioned Farrell's power, but he has like plant powers, and he can like shoot vines out of his hands and like grow them from the ground. And do like a lot of cool different things with plants. And when he uses his power, his eyes turn green. Beatrice has fire powers, and if you have pointy ears, it's like as you grow older, the more you harness your power and like know what you're doing and can control it, your ears get more pointy if you have fire powers. So like the teachers at her school are like, wow, that's actually crazy that you have pointy ears because that means you can control your powers very well. And fire powers are known to like be really hard to control in the world. And if that doesn't make sense, of course comment down below and I'll make sure to clarify or clear up anything, because I've not talked about my OCs in forever, so it may make like 0 sense. And finally, Sterling's power. Sterling can control lightning, and she can like strike a tree with lightning or like have it in her palms or between her fingers. So she has like a lot of different stuff to do with lightning. Well, you guys may be wondering, I'm not sure if you guys are, but if you guys are wondering that Ian is a human, does he have a power or not? But no, Ian does not have a power. Actually, and that's why he was able to stay in the village when the lady found him. She was wondering if he had a power, because if he did have a power, she was going to have to figure out a way to get him back to the humans, because he could not blend in the village, and they'd eventually find out, because if he had to figure out how to control his powers, then people would have to find out eventually. So they do not find out because he does not have a power. And a little bit about their personalities again. Ian loves to do like skateboarding, and he loves to read books and all sorts of like that type of stuff. And Lily loves adventure. She loves mountain climbing. She loves going out in nature. And Sparrow likes sword sparring, like things to do with swords. He wants to become like a village guard when he's older. He wants to be like one of the guards that defends the village. Because even though humans don't know they exist, they still have guards that like patrol day and night just to make sure no unwanted intruders are there. Secretly, Farrell loves to draw. He hasn't told anybody in the story because he thinks like people will think he's weird or something, but he loves to draw, and he's like a big softie, but nobody knows that. Beatrice loves sports, and if she's not doing sports, she's like training with her powers and doing like power stuff or doing sports. Sterling loves picnics. She loves to do picnics. She loves swimming. She loves bike riding. She loves all sorts of that stuff. And so does Ian. Ian loves bike ridings and picnics as well. I don't think I mentioned this, but Wingarians as a species, like the whole species, just hates water, like big bodies of water, like lakes or ponds or oceans, because if they go into it and they go under, like they swim under, it can kind of mess with their senses, and then they can't do their echolocation thing, like send little signals to other Wingarians, and it makes them like super disoriented because like the water is getting in the way of like their wings and their ears, and they can like do nothing, so they like steer clear of water. That's why they're in a mesa plateau far from water and not near water. Ian's hair is supposed to be like a brown grayish, or not grayish, but it's supposed to be like brown silverish, and it totally did not turn out that way. So in the animation that I posted, his hair is a little bit more silvery, which it's supposed to be, but here it's a little bit more brown because I was like having a little bit of an issue with like the different colors. But I think I kind of figured it out in the end a little bit, but it's still more brown. And I know you can't see Lily's wing in the drawing, but all Wingarians are born with wings. Like, they all have wings. Even though you can't see Lily's in this one, I just like imagine that her wings are like lower in the picture so you can actually see them. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you have not already, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you don't miss when I do part 2. And if you guys have stayed to the very end, thank you so much, and you guys can put a fire emoji in the comments to let me know that you stayed this long.